Hello, today is Wednesday and it is the 30th of May 2012. We'll take a look at silver on the weekly and the daily time frames and then finish this off within the tuna fish in California, as they have noticed radioactive high levels of radiation from the fish in California. And then we'll finish that off with an auditing of the Federal Reserve. I think editing might be needed as well, but we'll get to that at the very end. And this will be quick overall as well. Now, I've been talking about how there was these two candlestick, or the two other candles, that there were like hammer kind of formations over the last 2 weeks. And they're pretty bullish, to say the least. However, if you see something like this, a very bullish pattern, and then it just doesn't do that, and it keeps going down lower, that's a tell. I don't know if I like the word tell, but it's definitely a yellow to red warning sign that we are going to be having large down moves. And quite frankly, a breakdown below here of this 26 and change level and really down towards 25 would be quite scary, and that would be the move needed to have that test of these levels that I've been talking about for the last year plus or so as a test, a long-term correction basically. Now we move this on to the daily chart. You can see that the hammer formations gave us a possibility of either, well, that of a double bottom or an inverted cup and handle formation. This neckline was close to being taken out at the start of the Sunday night session, but not quite. And the double bottom would have been point A, point B, back here, there, and then breaking the neckline over here. Well, you can now look at this as a possible double top now, because you got these two tops in here, you got this support level in here, and that means, I guess, a move down to 27 would complete the neckline for the double top formation. And it's been staying within the downtrend of this 18 band throughout this entire bear market that has now completed its 3-month tenure so far, moving into its 4th month. So it's been a very long decline, to say the least. I was stating in here that when it broke down below 30, to watch out for 30 to be resistance. Well, right now, resistance has been 28 and change, 28 and 3/4. 30 may still become that, but as of now, it's already had a correctionary phase because it's managed to get within this band, got to this resistance point here, established a higher low, came back up to the resistance field, pretty much making a matching top, although technically barely a lower high. And thus far, it has still made the higher low, but it's obviously still in a downtrend, and breaking down below that previous level here would complete that double top, and that's a bearish formation. But because of that, it's still got pretty much a symmetrical kind of triangle. And, well, that would be about it. That's it. Okay. Now let's talk about the radioactive tuna in California. Now, these things can travel pretty fast. They can travel up to, 40 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour, I think, or pretty fast. They pretty much travel about 40 miles a day. So they go their places, and they've attracted a lot of radioactive materials, a lot of it from Fukushima, for the event that took place a little over a year ago. The information or the problematics that could come from this radiation was not talked about within the mainstream media. So I took some notes from an ABC video. I'll put the link in the more information box. But they stated the researchers admit that they were not expecting this to take place. Well, that's a very common thing to happen when you have misinformation. So I'm not going to say I believe them or I don't believe them, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was true due to misinformation. This is the first time fish have been able to carry it this far. Well, this was a pretty extraordinary event of a nuclear meltdown. Scientists, this is what one of the anchor women said, that Fukushima definitely the source. I put definitely in cap locks, and I said, author notices, or push is force of the word, uses, I think. The author used a lot of force in the word. Don't know what that means, but I noticed that, though. They stated that it was well below safe limits. It was well below safe to eat limits and not likely to affect humans. I don't believe that with a 10-foot pole, personally. But the key thing was what one of the analysts or scientists, I don't know, you'll see it in the video, what he stated. I imagine that the consumption of these tuna would be far, far below the radioactivity that you would get from, for example, one dental x-ray. Imagine. I-M-A-G-I-N-E. I'm not going to define it. You should know what that word means because it's something you think up in your head. I can imagine that pigs can fly and squirrels are going to take over the world. All I have to do is maybe close my eyes, relax, and put pictures in my head, and it will be true, at least in my thoughts. But that isn't going to make it so, though. So maybe this person decided to go to sleep one night and was imagining making these documents or the scientific laws that it was all fine. I really don't know. And I've heard JSNP4, and if you don't know who JSNP4 is, I highly recommend his channel. I'll write down the name. Do a YouTube or Google search for either or both of those, and you'll find it. He talks a lot about buzzwords. Imagine, would that be that buzzword that he's talking about? Because, well, you could use that for a lot of different things, and I imagine that it was jet fuel that took down the trade centers. Well, of course you could imagine that, but that doesn't make it so. Okay, let's continue on. And now he's saying that's far, far below the radioactivity that you would get from, for example, one dental x-ray. Now, that's a pretty extreme measure, I would guess. And I don't think people would be taking an x-ray every single day. And I don't even know if you'll be taking one once a year. You don't get dental x-rays every single time, at least I don't think. But you also have radioactive protective chests or stuff that they put in front of you. And how much that helps, I don't know. But it seems as if mainstream media is going out of their way. And I've seen this on a couple of videos and articles on how safe this is to don't worry about it. That's the old general message. I'm not saying it's safe. I'm not saying it's not safe. But I personally wouldn't trust it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Final thing is auditing the Fed. HR 459, which is that to audit the Federal Reserve, which has been brought up by Dr. Ron Paul. And as of now, there's over 225 co-sponsors in the House. They want to vote for this in the month of July, which is a little over 1 month away. Good luck finding the mainstream media to cover this story. If you have anything from, or seen anything from ABC, CNN, CNBC, anything like that in either a video or an article, please let me know. What I did this morning was I did a Google search for HR 459 and I'd put a space and I'd type in, well, something like HR 459 and then I type CNBC. That'd be my search. Then I do it with CNN. Then I do it with ABC and so on in my Google search. I could find nothing from their sources. Oh, from Ron Paul's sources, definitely. So it seems as if they're extremely scared and they just don't want to cover it. Again, misinformation at its finest. Now, I stated yesterday in my predictions that I was hoping I was wrong. I still hope that I'm wrong, but I don't expect the summer to be pretty much that of the dollar collapse period. But an event like this, where a reserve, our audit of the Federal Reserve, which is a secret organization, at least their financial records to be that of secretive, that could possibly really spark things, to say the least. Anyway,